Switch 2, the Switch 2. They showed the Switch 2, but which two dads Switch 2, the Switch 2 we'll get to. Meanwhile, Roblox is out and Fortnite debuts. Strap on a VR headset and come take in the views. Welcome to New Dad Gaming.
The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. It's a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives.
Love the intro poem. Let's keep this going. New Year's resolution 2025.
2025, nothing but poems. The Switch line I was pretty proud of. That was really great.
That was good. And no fumbles. Like, did you practice before? Like,
when it just comes naturally. Like, what can I tell you?
Okay.
But no need to. Everybody, welcome to the show. This is New Dad Gaming. My name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Each week, we try to show that just because you became a dad
does not mean it's game over.
And as we get into like the big news to dive right into this week, the Switch 2, the worst kept secret in all of gaming.
Pretty much, yeah.
Was finally announced. So Jeff, like you had sent me the trailer when it did drop. So you'd seen it before. Like, what is your take? Just get the initial impression here. Gaming dad perspective. Kids may enjoy it. You yourself, longtime Nintendo fan. What's your impressions of the Switch 2?
I think this is just more of a good thing. So again, nothing drastic in terms of changes. It's just more of a good thing, like a little of a safe play, which I think is just warranted. I think Nintendo found their stride with Switch and they just want to keep that going. And when I saw this thing, again, like you said, worst kept secret. I think a lot of this stuff was leaked. And people were trying to figure out the conspiracy theories to go along with it. And it turns out most of those were kind of right on the money. So
yeah, it looks great. It looks like it looks like a nice upgrade. Now,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm super curious about the Joy-Cons. I would like to, in my heart of hearts, assume that they've fixed some of the challenges with, like, you're talking to somebody whose household has now gone through 4 Joy-Cons, especially with, like, little ones and little greasy kid fingers. So I'm hoping that they've taken those lessons and they've made these Joy-Cons a lot more robust, given like the nature of how they're played with. Like, I don't. What are your thoughts on the Joy-Con specifically as it was playing on the Switch 2 announcement?
Yeah, I was a little cautious because I've had many Joy-Cons that have drifted over the years, and Nintendo's fixed them in a timely fashion. But this is again more of the same. I'm hoping they have. If they hadn't fixed it, and things are prone to failing later on, maybe these are more modular or at least a little bit easier to fix or swap. I'm hoping, but from the structure of it, it looks like just more is added in there in terms of electronics, and like the way they snap in now is like a little bit less mechanical and more of like a port. So I'm like, maybe this thing is all sealed up and you can't get into it. So
it's even more proprietary and difficult.
Yeah. So I'm not so sure about that. I do enjoy that they're bigger. I find the Joy-Cons a little too small now. Coming from the Steam Deck and going back to the Switch, the Joy-Cons are small, I think, for adult hands. So having them a little bit larger along with the larger screen, I think that's a welcome play. That's perfect.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I think it's just curious to me because it's the type of thing when you're looking at. Oh, and sorry, the one thing I did want to mention at the end of the trailer, one thing that they very specifically called out is that they are keeping the same cartridge.
Thank you.
Dynamics.
Yes.
And so all of your current Switch games will play on the new Switch. Perfect. And it's just it's one of those things that, well, to be fair, most consoles within the last generations did a pretty good job of that. PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. Does PlayStation 5 PlayStation 4 games? Discs?
They will if you have a disc drive, but because of the the different SKUs that they launched with, On my PS4 games, I don't have a disc drive to put them in, so I'm kind of that's my decision, my bad.
Fair point. But I mean, if you had the disc drive,
yeah,
the version, like you could play them. So I can't say that they're unique in it. It is reassuring that much like the other ones, they are continuing this new trend of listen, like this is not going to, you don't have to chuck that stuff out in a garage sale. You can keep your current library and like bring it into this new, better looking console.
I mean, in this economy, right? Thank you. It's so great. But
they're going to be, so the thing is with it, like, so I'd like to get your opinions on what it represents as an upgrade, because I try to think about the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch, and great consoles, fantastic consoles. But if I'm really honest, I think the largest jumps that they had were in regard to form factor and accessibility, as opposed to it. And in my mind, in the last couple of series of consoles, Nintendo, and feel free to disagree, it never felt like they have done like exponential jumps as far as horsepower in any of these consoles. And there's some part of me where I don't necessarily expect this to double like the Switch's current like power, and all of a sudden Nintendo has a powerhouse. I think if anything, it'll be slightly faster. And then again, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I do think there's going to be Switch 2 only games.
Yeah,
that'll be kind of like that'll require the more power. Like what have you read about this, or like what's your impressions on what's going to happen with the Switch 2 from a power perspective?
Yeah, I think just the track record of Nintendo, like you hit on, they're not really in it for power. They're in it for, playability, accessibility, and to continue their library going, right? So what I'm hoping from this is that, there's more juice there that to maybe play a lot of the more Dark Souls stuff. Maybe Elden Ring goes on there. Xbox is reaching across platforms. Maybe they get on the system, right? Just have enough in there to play at least current games, I think, or have an option to go the next level through some other means, right? They've introduced cloud streaming on the Switch to get some of those more graphically intense games to run. Does it have a new Wi-Fi card that's built in there? Like what else is in the guts of it to make it work? But I don't think Nintendo's really about that too much, right? They're showing off a Mario Kart, which alone, that's a new Mario Kart. And the old one is still ticking along, is always in the top 10. And I think it's at 50 million right now. So like, they're not too worried about what's the Switch's kind of place in the gaming landscape. But
I will say, for instance, like in looking at I don't even want to call them leaks. I think you'd almost want to just call it rumors for launch titles. Like one that I saw that I thought you would find most interesting was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then is it Retrograde? What's the second?
Oh, Rebirth.
Yeah, Rebirth.
So remake, Rebirth, and then whatever's next, which is to be unannounced. But
so like that's a pretty massive get. If they could pull that to just like the Fidel, like that's a massive game. Like that is next gen gaming output, right? And if the Switch 2 could handle it like that, all of a sudden this little fun family console like kind of puts on some big boy pants, right?
Yeah, and I would, if I hadn't read up on it before we got on the show, I'd be like, "You're crazy, Trevor. There's no way Rebirth's gonna run on that. Like, I don't know what you're talking about." But because the PC version is coming out, people have already shown video of it running on the Steam Deck, which is much older than what I think the Switch 2 probably has in it. So if it can run on that smoothly, then no doubt that Switch 2 has probably got a little bit more, Nintendo magic behind it to make it work and run properly. So I'm looking forward to a whole bunch of portability for gaming dads and kids to kind of take around these high-powered games. And again, game anywhere. I think that's what we've all been about. So I'm not so even concerned about docking it. I usually play my Switch undocked unless it's multiplayer with kids. So that's something that I will also note the little stand. Way better. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's an excellent little upgrade. Like
so
it's just that refinement. It's bigger. It's like, okay, we can handle a slightly bigger screen. I think the screen is higher resolution, or at least like larger and better. Like the curves of everything, it just seems like a beautiful iteration, a refinement, a perfection of a console that was unbelievably well received. given how odd it was when it was first announced.
I am,
The
just a quick note, I just caught that it wasn't as colorful. So what
Yeah.
made the Switch, and even just the previous consoles like the Wii and GameCube, not so much the N64, but like the color is a little bit gone. Like there's accents, right? But I was expecting like, oh, let's, here's your neon Joy-Cons, but I guess that's to come later.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have options. It's weird that they have a choice to display. Okay, like here is the Switch, and they went with the all black emo
Yeah.
version,
Yeah.
which I noted that too, and it's just is them trying to say no, we're like a serious gaming company as opposed to fun friendly family stuff, and that was I don't know. It almost felt more cynical. I always enjoyed that Nintendo was not so self-serious, fun, happy, joy, happiness. So to see them kind of like edge that off a little bit and introduce these black controllers as opposed to the colors, it's like, it's a bit of a shame. Now,
Yeah.
clearly they'll just be blue, red, purple. It's just gonna be all the colors in the rainbow, right?
Yeah.
But in the introduction, they've chosen to go with the black, which I think almost feels like, hey, listen, you can get a Steam Deck, or let me pitch you on something that's
right.
so much more family friendly.
Yeah.
And where do you think it's going to land? The best part about this is like this is going to end up being a story we'll cover at least twice more this year,
Probably.
because there'll be probably like a big game announcement for it, and then there'll be the price and availability.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, like where in a world of consoles kind of getting into the refinement phases, considering the next versions of it, with Steam Deck existing at about the $400 to $500 range, where do you place the price? Where do you think they're going to come in on this?
I really have a feeling that it should still be at $399. I know that seems low, but I think a lot of people just, they just don't have the money these days. I think a lot of people are hit hard by everything going on, and I know Nintendo is going to have like, well, the cost of this material is going to go up, and there's a bunch of other stuff going on in the world. I don't know. I think $399 is still that sweet spot. They could absolutely go for $49, which I think the OLED model still sits at. They've never had, that's another thing. They've never had a price cut to the original Switch. So wherever they place this is kind of like where it's going to be for the next 7 years. Like, I don't think that they're going to move on that. So are they going to play it, a little bit under and then know that they're going to get 150 million units? I don't know. Like, what's your take? Are you thinking higher? Are you thinking 500?
The thing with the extra power, with the it almost feels like with a slight nod and a wink to gamers, with like the size of it and just like the look of how it's trying to almost feel a bit more pro. It just feels to me like it's gonna be more like $499, and heaven forbid like $550 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Because some versions of the Steam Deck, like that's about their range as well, right? Which, like, to their credit, like they're full PCs, but I don't know. Just like, if anything, it's kind of like reading. It's like, we'll keep the old Switch at the same price, which is pretty powerful, but this is like the Pro version that's slightly bigger. What is it actually? What does the OLED go for? Do you happen to?
I think it's $449 Canadian. Which, okay, look, as you kind of talk through it though, if this plays your library as is, that could be like, hey, this is actually a second console for your kind of household, so we could price it a little bit higher, knowing that you're not losing those games. You can play everything you want and more.
Like, we don't have inside knowledge onto their business model, but I do have to. They must be more poised than any other game company to be able to augment their profits from the games, because the Nintendo tax is real. Like Mario Kart is God bless its soul, one of the greatest like family games you could play, is still $80.
Yeah.
This many years later, and it still sells like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Right. So because of that Nintendo premium, it's sort of like, all right, it's either we're losing a bit of money or we like kind of break even, but we got you for years. And these games are not like Mario Wonder is not going to go down in price.
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey will always be $80.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, Mario Odyssey 2 will now also be $80. You know what I mean? So perhaps to make it, and when you are saying that, it's like $399 for this new console, immediately it's like, damn, like that's a great price. Like that is really enticing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they can make it work. I'm hopeful. Like I hope you're right.
I am hopeful I'm right. It's more of a wish. Like
Just
$3.99 is like
we're
palatable.
manifesting it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think anything more than that, like people have to like second guess. They're like, oh, well, now I might have to sell my Switch to get some extra funds. But yeah, no, the kids can save their piggy banks and we can all kind of come together.
Yeah, well, it'll be a wonderful year. Congrats to all the kids who inherit the old Switches as gaming dads
Yeah.
pick up the new Switch too.
Yes, all the
It's
little
like,
siblings get the old game.
the old ye old hand-me-downs for the Switches.
Yeah.
Hey, gaming dads, do you have thoughts on this? Would love to hear if you're rabidly excited about this. If you have thoughts, if you think you might pick it up, or your own thoughts on pricing, anything else on the Switch, reach out to us at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. One of the bigger questions you'd have to ask, though, Jeff, is will this new Switch 2 play Fortnite?
Oh, will it? Yeah.
Oh, will it? Because let me tell you what's going on in my house. Like, Roblox is out and Fortnite is in.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
big pull. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So let me walk you through a story.
Okay.
How we arrived here. We had a chance to visit some friends and stay over to their place over the holidays, and they on their system had Fortnite running. And so every now and then the kids were kind of taking some turns, like playing the game. And I will say this, like looking at it, you are once again reminded. I'm not sure the last time you dipped into it, but it is
Long time ago. I think the last time was when we played, which was
oh
years
my
and years
goodness.
ago. So
Yeah, you have to go back in because I think since then they updated to, man, Gaming Dad's right in and let me know it. Like I think they changed the whole engine, so it's like Unreal 5.
yeah, Unreal 5, yeah. I think.
So the movement is so slick. The world is so deep and rich. Like at some point you're gonna have to like come up on some folks and get blasted and just like your day ruined. But until that time, you're just roaming around this world, which has so much going on. It's just a wonderland of things. And what I observed was, again, like just seeing the quality of this game.
Yeah.
And look, like cards on the table. There's no need to like talk about it. Fortnite has a somewhat worrying monetization model, right? Where it's basically about the have and the have-nots. Try to get you to do Battle Pass. If you get Battle Pass, well, I have to play a whole lot this month, which then you get addicted. So that it is this recurring loop. And I hear a lot with like kids where it's, oh, you have this skin, you're poor. Like, what's wrong? Are you not being able to play enough? Can you not afford V-Bucks? Like, it is this awful kind of cycle. So I don't want to give them fully a pass. However, as far as like the actual game, though, like the amount of money they were making, they did not need to switch to a new engine, and they absolutely did. They don't need to have these like big free concerts. They don't need to add all this gameplay stuff. They could have stopped at any point, but they just keep going, and it is a riot. It's unbelievable what they've achieved.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this quality, basically, right? So
right.
Yeah. So again, so all that's on the like. Look, total caveats. You guys like, we're all smart adults here. We know what's up.
Okay.
But when you just look at the game and the gameplay and the world and the animations and things like that, you're looking. It's like this is crazy quality. Like it's really wild. This whole world, and especially like I'll be honest. Then I played a couple rounds of it. It's like, man, this is pretty fun. This is a good time.
They gotcha.
So my kids in being at our friend's house and seeing them play, like they really got that itch. Especially my oldest. It's like, I just really want to play this. I really want to get Roblox in the house. So I made this bargain where it's like, okay, you get rid of Roblox. If you stop playing Roblox, you get that out of my house. I will let you play Fortnite.
Okay.
And I gotta say, like, I'm really happy. I'm very happy with it because just to see him play this, to not see the asinine, dumb Roblox ripoffs, like to see some awful XCOM / like Hello Neighbor ripoff, and then Five Nights at Freddy guys for no reason. Just like that, like trinket garbage that exists so much in Roblox compared to a cohesive game that exists within Fortnite.
Right.
It just feels better. And I'll say this, like
it just feels good. You need to
I
be
like-
quoted on like the reviews of
Just
this
feels
thing.
good.
It just feels good to get Roblox out.
And I just say this, like I like playing it with them. Like we've been
Okay.
doing doubles, and the youngest, unfortunately, the thing is like with this type of bargain, you're kind of making some deals with the devil, and it's sort of like, well, the youngest can't now not be playing, and he usually plays Roblox with the oldest, so he
Right.
doesn't play it as much, but he does dip in. So I'm playing doubles, or I'm playing trios, like with my kids, in like on the morning during our game time. And it's like so much fun, man. Let me tell you this: like we've won
Oh.
a couple. We've won a couple competitions. I couldn't believe it.
Look at that! Like you're already making memories. Look at we just.
I took
pulled our
photo,
first
like I had
battle royale. Look at that.
my sons and I like took like a selfie with it because I was like, oh my god, this is the first time I've ever won. This is great.
Nice,
So
man. Like that is a big switch. Now, just a question though. Like, do you have the chat on? Because I think that was a concern before. Was
Oh,
like the voice chat was like
yeah. So
that's a
now there is the great thing, and I don't know. This might just be from my naivete, but again, gaming dad's right in. Correct me. At present, they do have an entire kid account. So if you are under, I think 16, when you sign up, you have what's called a cabined account.
Okay.
Which is, like Fortnite cabin, like whatever, like just their nomenclature. Yeah. And from that, I get to, as the parent, like I have to be the one that kind of puts them through and allows their account to be existed, and then I get to choose what they do. So within their account, the things that I do is like, okay, no, you can't purchase anything.
Right. That's a good lockdown.
Very,
all right.
Very good.
Yep.
And then also no chats. No, you can't like add friends. Like you just have complete control over like their gaming experience within the world. Okay. So I found it to be, as like a gaming dad, a very reassuring move that they pulled off, where it's super easy to set up and nice controls to make sure of the most worrying things of the world.
Well, that's good. I think maybe, again, when it launched, it was still trying to figure itself out. Those controls weren't necessarily all in there, I don't think, from what I recall. So it's good that they're kind of following that. And I think they've almost been forced to, because once you start having minors on a platform, which I think this is starting to be, right? Like it's a Roblox in its own way. It's just a platform that's just one, and they have variations of the same. But you do need to be careful there. So I'm glad that all works, right? Like that's what you want. That's accessibility for people. That is, allowing people to get into your game and into this environment in a safe way. And then as you grow up, that's what they want too, business wise. They want you to grow up with it and have good memories with it and keep playing it forever.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, that almost sounds bad. I will say, like, I have met other gaming adults, and much like, there's a whole class of gamers who they buy these consoles so that they can play Call of Duty. Hey, is that an Xbox? No, that's just my Call of Duty box.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And same thing with like Madden or NBA. Like it's just they get the new sports game that year, and that's what the game is. Like the whole purpose of it. But I've found the same is true for Fortnite, where it's like, do you play games? Yeah, I play Fortnite. Oh, what else? No, I play Fortnite. Like, and that's their game, and that's the one thing that they get into. It's like, cool, great. Like that is just your system. So
yeah,
I think my kids have enough other interests. They won't be a full-time Fortnite. They keep jumping into their other games too, which I kind of like to see. Like they still have breaks. And I will say this, like I've been able to use it to set some pretty good bounds, because I did find that, especially with the nature of this type of game, it's competitive, and like you're the last like 10 people and you're trying to make it happen. But then you die and you're like, oh, let's try again. Like there's a loop to constantly do it. The first like couple weekends, my oldest was having some challenges in regulating himself, because he was really excited, like he wanted to just keep going, and especially because it's new, he wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
So we would kick him off, and he's a little bit upset. But it's this opportunity. So like I sat him down. We had a conversation. I was like, listen, this is new. Like I'm enjoying it too. Like I'd like to be able to keep playing it. I know you do as well. But if this is what happens when you play and then you're not allowed to play anymore, we're going to have to get rid of it. Right? Like you see how you're upset right now. Like it's made you upset and now you're not listening and like you had your game time, the game time's over. If this is what the game does, like we can't do it. So I need you to like see it. And it's like, look, be upset. Like you're allowed to be upset. Like you're allowed to have your emotions, like feel your feels. But just understand what it is and make sure that it doesn't ruin your ultimate like goal of having this game like more often. You know what I mean?
It's a privilege to be able to play it, and if you're responsible with it like that, you continue playing it, right? It's not a right. You need to make the right choices, and you're teaching them to make the right choices. So that's good. Like absolutely, right? So it's one of those things to keep on.
Yeah. And then the next time I kicked him off, he was just like, he wasn't happy. Of course he's not happy.
I know, yeah.
But he was like, he was reasonable. Like he didn't complain. He didn't like push back. He didn't like get upset and just sort of moved on. So it's like, all right, so hey man, good. You're handling it. So we're in good spot here.
This is also one game, just thinking aloud. You can't pause this game. So it's just like, hey kids, come for dinner. Yeah, I'm in a match. And you're like, oh, well, that's true. It's like
that's what is good though, is like that's like again, that's just one of those benefits of like being a gaming dad and understanding it. Where it's just like, but I'm in a match. It's like, all right, I know what that means. All right, like it'll take your next 15 minutes, finish up, but do not start another match.
Right. Yeah, I'll know. I will know.
So are your kids playing Fortnite at all? Or have they
absolutely not? This is
so is that a choice? That's a choice. Like, have they requested it, but they've so far been denied?
No. They can play it if they want. I mean, I have a 14-year-old. He can play. Like guardrails are off for him, which is our choice. But it's just Fortnite doesn't enter the conversation. I think they're very much still about Roblox and Minecraft.
Yeah.
So.
That's fine. I was more curious about it. Was it when you said definitely not, is almost like a not in my house. I refuse.
Oh no. It's just their friend circles are not, and I think that's how it happens. Is that you go over to a friend's house, they're a Fortnite house, and they get you into Fortnite, and it's just like, come on in, be one of us. But they don't have that friend group, and I think that's kind of how they made friends to begin with. Was not through Fortnite; it was through these other games that they just stuck playing. So who knows what tomorrow will bring? And then I'll go to you for advice. So
report on back. So on a stream, like we are looking to get into some streaming. We should revisit Fortnite and see if we can.
Oh, because you're a pro, you just want to like get back. Hey, Path of Exile 2, it didn't do so hot. So come on over and play Fortnite.
Yeah, I'm still not good at that. It's just the frantic nature of it again. It's just like you get in close with some people, you're just like, oh god.
Yeah. I'm dead. Oh no, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, it's telling you, it's just I honestly looked into how to completely reset, like delete and reset my account.
Oh.
Because the problem is, Fortnite has a ranking system. So it pairs you not necessarily, apparently not on your level, but apparently based on like the number of kills you're getting, like how many times you've won, the whole thing. So it's trying to match you with like relatively the same players. And what bothered the heck is like my kids had won a couple times because they're in these like low tier levels.
Yeah.
And I could and I was in a level that it was enough that I was not able to ever win. So it was getting like kind of upsetting. And it's like, all right, how can I go to like the most base level so I can experience a victory before I keep on like racking up kills and like accidentally going into higher and higher tiers.
Right.
But hopefully like the game sees that I'm trash and it doesn't bother me anymore.
It just matches you with bots. They're like, no, these are totally real people. Go ahead, Trevor.
It's just like shit. So why don't they have any guns? It's like, I don't know. I guess they're just bad players.
The stormtrooper aiming, like nothing's hitting me. Right in front of them.
So good at this. Hey, but same thing. Gaming Dads is. I'll keep everybody posted to see how this experiment works. So far, it's been a couple weekends and been a lot of fun in the household. I think we're kind of looking forward to it this weekend. We'll see where we land. If you gaming dads have had anything similar in your household, write to us at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. Speaking of gaming poorly,
Yes.
You had a interesting take on dipping back into one of the greatest games that came out last year with Baldur's Gate 3. What did you do wrong, Jeff?
This is when you see things online and you're like, hey, wait, I I'm past this point, but I don't have all that you have. And this is where I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 is kind of a slow burn. It's one of those games that you really have to kind of be in the mood for. At least I do, to think about your choices, think about your next move, and it's a mental game, right? You're playing this thing. You can absolutely fail and keep going, but I really need to be in the mood for it. So I've been playing this on and off for a bit. Saw one of our followers on Blue Sky that posted like, hey, this game's amazing, just got into it, and it was a screenshot of all these characters in a spot that I've already been at, like way like hours ago, right? And I'm like, I don't have those two characters like at all. Like I have not met them. I have not like been introduced to their storylines, nothing. And so sure enough, I comment because why not? I'm humble. I'll put myself out there, whatever, under our banner of New Dad Gaming, so they could be thinking it's you. But they replied like, "What are you talking about? These characters are at the start of the game."
Oh my god! Look at the first map. Like, how could you even leave without them?
Like they were legit saying, "I don't know how you missed them." And so I went back into the game and booted it up. This was the great part about remote play too, because I just booted it up on my phone. I took a screenshot of the map and I said, "This is all I've explored." And literally, Trevor, like it's like, hey, you want to go this way? And I absolutely went this way until a point and then hard left.
You just missed them.
And they're like, it's right there at that corner, that little unexplored spot. That's where you get this one character. And then sure enough, like 6 feet after that, this other character comes along. How did you get to where you are? It must have been so difficult without these people.
This game must have been so miserable for you without having these two basic characters.
Right. And it's like one of those things I'm like, wow, this game is kind of difficult. I'm running into like hordes of enemies and I have to like strategize and I'm setting up fire barrels and I'm getting through them. But every battle is taking like 45 minutes. So I have just been playing this wrong.
Unnecessarily punishing. Like that is absolutely fantastic. So you woke up and chose violence, incompetent violence. It's like I'm so anybody, best part is if you've been streaming it, it's like, wow, this guy's going for it. He's speed running it, and he's like he's the new Let Me Solo Her streamer, where it's just like no armor, no characters, no spells. I'm just gonna see like, can I raw dog this whole game? And it just made it so hard on yourself.
I don't know anything apparently, and I said in the post too, I hope that Larry and the producers of this game get data back from the player, like choices, and just see like, what is this guy doing? Like we need to make a tutorial to get all the characters. So
God, that is an absolute. It's like this poor. It's like I'm just gonna look. I know we say we never intervene, but I'm gonna go into this guy's save file, and just give him some levels because he's gonna be hurt. This is gonna go so well.
Yeah, I'm struggling. So yeah, no, it's just one of those things where you set your own difficulty, and I set myself super high.
Just, I can recall like it was. I've had a certain anxiety around that. I can remember with the Ocarina of Time. In one of my playthroughs, I had not done everything with the stables. Where to get the song so that I could later get the horse.
Yeah.
And it just bothered me to no end. The thought that I just missed out on this horse, because I thought it was one of like the coolest little parts of the story, and the time warping stuff pissed me off. And thankfully, like later in the game, I was able to like swap back and like do it retroactively.
Yeah.
But bothered the heck out of me. And same thing with, I think it was like Vincent in Final Fantasy, where the 7. I did, but I remember there was an anxiety around it because it's just like, oh my God, I don't want to not get this guy.
Right.
I heard so much about him. Can you imagine not having Vincent? This sucks. So so the thought of like missing out like these like key characters and awesome stories, just because it's like, ooh, here's this cool looking cavern, or I could go to this town over, and you just skip it.
Yeah. And I still have the same kind of anxiety around that stuff too, because I don't like to miss like major things through a run, because I don't think, well, back then I would replay, not a problem. But now I'm not playing another 150-hour game and going through the second run with it, right? So it's like one of those things where Baldur's Gate 3 is built on decisions upon decisions, and you can absolutely, again, fail and move on. It's just the story continues differently. And it doesn't like, there's no crazy consequences. You can lose some things, but right now you need to find the characters in order to have the consequences. Like, so anyway.
Oh, that's absolutely great. There's nothing greater than a gaming dad fail.
Yeah.
In just the worst possible way.
Yeah, I'm old now. This is what happens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think we'll let's wrap her up there for the evening though. We have some VR talk, but we'll save that maybe for next week. And man, if we could pull off the show in VR, like we should talk during the week to see if that we can get into a virtual space. So this video feed instead would be our virtual avatars just bounding about and talking in the worst possible way. But we'll see what we can do from a technology standpoint. But we'll get to the VR talk next week as we wrap it up for everything. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you like the show, you can find us on all the major podcasting networks. Just go to Google, Spotify, Apple iTunes, Caster, anywhere where you get your podcasts, and search for New Dad Gaming. Subscription really does help out the show, and especially if you leave a rating and a like, help cast it out to as many gaming dads as possible. If you want to get a hold of us, so if you have your own Fortnite stories, if you have your own thoughts on the Switch 2, we'd really be interested to hear what some of the gaming dads think about the new console that was announced. Do you have any hot tips for Jeff on playing Baldur's Gate 3 and not messing up so poorly? We'd love to hear all those things. Interacting with gaming dads has been one of the best parts of this podcast by far. So reach out to us, newdadgaming.com, or on all the socials at newdadgaming. Would love to hear from you. Everybody, once again, thank you so much for listening. Until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Remember, everybody, just because you became a dad
does not mean battle royale.
Oh, son of a... winner, winner, chicken dinner. Let's do this. All right, buddy. See you next week.
See you later.